Alright guys, so we're talking about squatting today. Okay, so this video is going to be helpful for people who have never squatted before or who have squatted and have had problems with squatting, doesn't feel right, they get pain, whatever it may be. This is a very entry-level squatting video, alright? So we're not going to involve any bars, we're not going to involve any weights. This is simply learning how to do the movement of squatting, okay? So the first thing we're worried about is our feet, okay? Your feet are going to be a little outside of shoulder width, and notice how my toes are just ducked out slightly, okay? This is a good starting spot. Everyone's stance is going to vary a little bit, but if you have your feet outside of your shoulders a little bit and your feet are ducked out, that's a good start. The reason why we want our feet ducked out we'll get to in a little bit, but basically it's because it's going to help activate our butt, and it's going to keep our knees and hips in a line. Okay? So next thing we're going to do is put your hands here like you're praying, and this will make a little more sense too as we progress later into the video. Okay? We're also going to use this bench. Okay? So this bench is going to guide us, and this will make us feel comfortable using this new squat stance. Okay? The biggest problem I see people is they're so afraid to sit back and get in a good position that they just end up being really far forward. They get in this position when they squat. Okay? What this bench is going to do is going to give you a safety net. It's going to allow you to feel very safe and very comfortable sitting back. Okay? So everyone starts with a bench. Feet are set up, hands are here like you're praying, and all you're going to do is simply sit down, stand up. Sit down, stand up. Alright? You're very simple. So the next step, or the next thing I want to talk about is our knee tracking. Okay, so notice how when my feet are out and I sit back, my knees basically follow my toes, which means that they are out. Okay, if you're doing something like this, you're gonna feel a real sharp tightness right here in your hip flexors. All right, this doesn't feel very good. It's gonna cut your depth short. It feels terrible. Open your hips up. Allow yourself to sit between your hips, and it's gonna feel so much better. Okay, so. Now the cool thing about this is that not everybody squats to the same depth, but we all want to try to squat as low as we possibly can, all right? So this is always a big debate, and I'll tell you why. So first off, you gotta think about the reason of why are you squatting, all right? You're squatting for a couple reasons. Not everyone has the same exact reasons for squatting, but everyone who starts squatting at least wants to get a little stronger. Okay, we can all agree on that. Everybody wants to at least gain a little bit of muscle in their legs. All right, we can agree on that. And the third thing that some people want to do is they want to gain flexibility in their hips, or they just want to gain flexibility in their lower body. So they want to start squatting. Okay. The way that we best achieve all three of those things is we squat as low as we possibly can. This creates the most stimulus as far as the squat is concerned, and so we'll get the most stimulus. That means we're going to get the most adaptation out of it, which basically means we're going to get the most out of it. Okay, so why half squat when you can do a full squat? Okay, now you might not be able to do a full squat on day one, but I'm going to give you some progressions so you can learn how to do a full squat. All right, and we're going to use this bench as a tool. So the first progression is simply getting yourself in position. So feet, hands, sit, stand up. First progression. All right. Now, here's the cool thing about having bumper plates, or if you don't have bumper plates, just fine. You can just use regular plates. But instead of making the bench get shorter, we're just going to make ourselves get taller. All right. So as you see here, I'm going to grab a couple plates. I'm going to grab these two black plates right here. I'm going to set them on the ground. All right. And now I'm going to stand on top of them. And by default, I'm an inch taller. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to sit to the bench, stand back up. Sit to the bench, stand back up. All right? So the worst thing that can possibly happen when I squat is I simply sit down and I can't get back up. You're not going to fall. You're not going to hurt yourself, and you're going to feel comfortable practicing this pattern. So this is always a really good progression to start with. Okay? And then the simplest way to keep moving it is to make yourself taller. So for the sake of this conversation, we're gonna skip a couple steps, but you want to make as small progressions as you possibly can. But for the sake of this conversation, we're gonna skip a little faster, and I'm gonna show you the difference in depth. Okay? So I'm gonna put some of these big guys on there. Okay, these are thick, these are 3 inches. Now when I stand up, you probably can't even see my head anymore. But when I come down, you'll see how much lower I'm going. All right, see how much lower I'm going? But I still feel comfortable because the worst that could happen, I just sit down. Okay? All right, so those are the progressions to the bench. All right? Your next goal is to try to add a stimulus, okay? Weight, right? So we don't want to go straight to the barbell yet. We want to make one more step in between, okay? What we can do is we can use dumbbells, all right? And we can load dumbbells in this position. Remember I told you to pray? Well, this is going to emulate that praying position. So now you're holding this dumbbell right here, you're squatting, feel the bench, come back up. You're squatting, feel the bench, come back up, all right? So the cool thing about these is that you can add more weight to them, all right? So a good start would be to start with 10. This is a 12-pound dumbbell. You can very easily start to add weight to it while still ingraining this movement pattern of squatting. All right. So once you reach depth, and how do you know what depth is? Go till you can't touch the bench anymore. Which means that if I would stack myself up with 2 45s on top of each other, and I would squat as low as I could, and I couldn't touch, and I came back up, that means I'm as low as I possibly can, and I've also just ingrained my technique, which means that I no longer need the bench anymore, all right? So after you've done the bench so many times and got yourself so high, and then you've started adding enough weight with the dumbbells, eventually you reach a point where you're not even touching the weights anymore, you're just doing a free squat. So your free squat is going to look something like this, right? There you go, you're going to pop up, you're going to feel a stretch reflex at the bottom. That's how you know you're hitting your depth, it's because when you hit this bounce, it's going to feel like it's shooting you back up, all right? If you cut it short, oh, it feels really hard to get back up, all right? So once you've mastered each progression, then you move to the next progression. Okay? And then once you get to this point where let's say you're holding around 40-pound dumbbells, and you're able to knock out 3 sets of 10, or it doesn't have to be 3 sets of 10, but once you feel like you're very confident in that movement pattern, then the next step would be to translate that over to the barbell, all right? But not any sooner. I have people who go through these progressions for weeks upon weeks, all right? So that way when they get to the barbell, it feels comfortable, it feels good, it feels like they've been squatting for 3 weeks because they have been, all right? Remember, movement patterns. If you can't do a proper air squat, all right, you're not gonna do a proper back squat, okay? So really take the time, learn the squat movement, and once you do learn it, it should feel good. You shouldn't feel any pain in your knees. You shouldn't feel pain anywhere. It should feel very smooth. It should feel fluid. So take your time, learn the pattern, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.